All right, folks, welcome back to Edu of Steps, powered by Ladder Your Success, where we help you navigate life, learning, and leveling up. I'm your host, Olay, and today we're talking about something everybody jokes about but secretly hopes will work, and that's New Year's resolutions. Studies show that about 3 in 10 Americans set New Year's resolutions, and young adults are the most likely to do it. Nearly half of the 18 to 29-year-olds say they made at least one. Another set of data points out that most people give up within a few months, often before the end of April. So the question is, how can teens set goals that don't just sound good in January, but actually stick? So today's episode is called New Year's Resolutions That Actually Stick, Goal Setting for Teens. We're going to break this down LYS style. Be, know, do. Who you need to be, what you need to know, and what you need to do to turn resolutions into real change. So before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce our squad, starting off with the good doc, Dr. Jamarc Crawford. How you doing today, Jamarc?
Hey man, I'm doing good. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Definitely, man. Always, brother. And of course, we have the founder of the LYS Ladder Your Success, Festus Amoye. Festus, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. I really love the warm welcome that you gave Dr. Crawford. It was excellent. On par. On par. Renaissance Festival earlier, but anyway.
So before we talk about planners, apps, or vision boards, we got to start with the be. Who do you need to be for your resolutions to actually mean something to you? A Pew Research and a few other surveys show that most resolutions are about health, school, money, or relationships. And a lot of people feel pressure to set them because it's what everyone else does. But if your goal is based on pressure, not purpose, you're way more likely to quit. So one of the other things you need to be is you need to be self-compassionate. Don't be self-destructive. Psychologists know that all or nothing thinking, which is basically when you say, man, I messed up once, so it's over, is a huge reason why resolutions fail. Teens who show self-compassion, being kind to themselves when they slip up, are more likely to bounce back and keep going. Be growth-minded, have a growth mindset. Research on goal setting, on student goal setting, and self-efficacy shows that when students believe they can grow and improve, they're more likely to stick with the goals and persist when it's hard. And this is what we're all about here at LYS, not just perfection, but progress. So my first question for the squad is, why do you think so many teens feel pressure to make resolutions instead of feeling excited about them?
Well, I think, those teenage years, those early developmental years, you're really coming into who you are. You're finding your why, you're finding your being. And, I know when I kind of first heard about New Year's resolutions, I think I was like in 6th grade or 7th grade or something like that. And I was like, a what? And they were like, a New Year's resolution. And I was like, what is that? And of course, as a teen, you don't want to sound dumb. You don't want to sound like you don't know what's going on. So you're like, oh yeah, I got a resolution. And you're like, I don't know what these people are talking about. I don't know if anybody had that feeling other than me, but I think that's the thing is when you're coming into yourself and you're coming into your own, number one, it's hard to make resolutions when you don't know who you are. You don't know what direction you're going. You don't know where you want to be in life. And so that feels like a lot of pressure because you then start comparing yourself just to other people and kind of what they're saying. So those are my 2 cents on it.
I think maybe teens may feel a sense of pressure due to a sense of pressure when it comes to resolutions is because it's doing something just to do it, because maybe it's a task that was given to them by family or whatever organization may be, maybe, church or religion or whatever, maybe that's an activity and it's not genuine to oneself. It's an activity to do. And so it's like, okay, well, what can I come up with? Let me think, versus having that time as teens to self-reflect and part of the be no do, getting to know oneself and actually see what are some things that I would like to improve within myself so that I can accomplish my goals. And first off, what are my goals? You know, and so when as a teen, if they have a perspective of this is a task that I have to do and it's not meaningful to them, then it could be pressure to them. So,
Man, I love those answers. And the common theme I'm hearing is, I think for a lot of our young people, as they're being raised, they're kind of being told what to do. So in that, you kind of look for certain people to say, well, how do I think about this? How do I think about that? But it comes a certain point for a lot of young people where you have to start saying, well, based off of everything you've seen, right? You know the difference between good and bad. You know what's a good person. You know what's a person that you may want to keep at a distance. How do you start to cultivate your own worldview and making these decisions for yourself, right? And so I think that's really, really powerful. To that point, that's my second question for the squad. What is the difference between a goal that comes from comparison and a goal that comes from purpose?
I think that this is a good question that you pose because one of the things that is very true, it might sound cliche, that comparison is the thief of joy. And so, whatever the goals are, if we're looking at what others have achieved or whatever the context may be, and we try to create a goal that's similar to something else or something like that, then I feel like that is pressure on mental health and things like that, because once you start comparing, you're going to constantly be comparing, right? And then I feel like if you think of yourself, what are the things that you want to achieve that's going to add value or progress to your life in the things that you want to accomplish? When you set a goal like that, now you can create certain steps that you need to do that is showing progress towards that goal. And then now it's you fulfilling whatever purpose that you feel like you're trying to achieve versus an empty goal that that you have created based on comparison. So for teenagers, if it is, oh, I want to be team captain of such and such sport because my best friend over here is team captain of such and such sport. So now that's my goal. And I'm trying to reach this goal because my friend over here at a different high school did that. And when we come back and talk, I want to have those bragging rights and things of that nature. Well, is that really aligned to what your purpose and passion is and things of that nature? So I hope that made sense.
No, 100% it made sense. And I think that's the big thing is anytime that you're making a decision that the origination of the decision is brought on by something else, you're generally making that decision based based off of an external factor. So it didn't originate with you. And so, especially when you think about it as such and such, or this person in this situation, then that's the comparison factor right there. So there's times in our lives where, yes, hey, you're about to graduate. What are you doing next? That piece of pressure causes you to have to make a decision. Okay, that originated outside of you. You didn't pick how many classes till graduation, that it has to be 12th grade or all of those things, or that you're a freshman in high school and you know the neighborhood you grew up in. You didn't pick any of those things. Those all originated outside of you. But that's not necessarily a comparison yet.
Hey, LYS fam. It's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
When you get into Jimmy is going to, Susie is going to, Billy is going to, whatever, what have you, or you get into this place where it's like, man, they're doing these things and I'm not, versus saying, what do I have the skills to do? What have I developed in myself? What resources are available to me? Based off of my life circumstances, what are some of the best decisions that I can make? That's, I think, one of the big things for kids who are kind of struggling or from low SES environments. They think that they're limited in what they can do when really it's all about the grind. It's all about the hard work. So, if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to accept the outcome, then cool, you can do it. You're just going to have to work harder than other people in that situation. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to be the first person in your family, first person from your neighborhood, the first person to try something. And I understand the pressure of like, man, I don't even want to try because I don't want to fail. Failure is actually not trying at all. So I'll keep that right there.
Man, Festus, I think you hit on something that is very important, especially when you're talking about basically conforming and people in low ACS, because I see so many times that in this part of comparison, well, I'm okay with where I am because my surroundings or everyone that's in close proximity to me is doing X. And so it's okay for me to reach for X when really I can achieve something so much more and so much greater. And so I sell myself short because of my environment when I can be better than I can be more than a product of my environment. I can aspire to more. And so let me conform to what all my friends and peers are accomplishing instead of reach for the sky. So I think that was very important that you basically touched on that, because that's a type of comparison as well. Let me limit myself so I can be on the same level as everyone around me.
And you bring up a real powerful point because, at the end of the year, I like to take like at least the last week to kind of revise and revisit, lessons I learned from the year, and then kind of apply some things for the future. And it's interesting because usually I set up my New Year's goals and I look at them sometimes and I'm like, man, that goal that I have for the year, I finished in 4 months or in 3 months. And then I think, why was I thinking so small? Thinking it's going to take me a year to do that. And it took me 4 months. And sometimes that's a reflection of my thought process on myself versus how much I really push myself. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things where it's like, man, that same goal has been up there 3 years in a row, particularly around my weight, so, but it's like, hey, and so sometimes you gotta shift things around and say, hey, look, maybe take my foot off the gas on these goals and step up this one.
Hey, I'm willing to step in and help you on their way goal. Let's get it.
You're trying to kill me, bro. You're trying to kill me. You're trying to assassinate me,
It's hard when you start, but it gets easier as you go on, man. So we got it, man. We're gonna get it together. I love it. So, man, great discussion on the B portion, but let's jump into the no, right? What does the science actually say about goals that work? So, especially for students, know that goal setting helps performance. Educational research shows that student goal setting is an evidence-based practice. It improves your academic performance. It increases your interest in learning, and it boosts your self-efficacy, which is your belief that you can reach your goals, right? A 2024 study showed that self-efficacy training plus goal setting improved teens' academic persistence. Also, what do you need to do? You need to know the power of specific SMART goals. SMART goals are smart, measurable, attainable, relevant, I got it, and timely and time-bound. This framework is used by a lot of folks in education to help students make realistic and meaningful goals. One thing I'm gonna say for young people, when you hear things like people say SMART goals, please don't do what most teenagers do and just roll your eyes and scoff at it and say, man, that's dumb. Please take a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and really think about goals and ask yourself, is my goal, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? Is it timely? This is going to save you a lot of time. It's going to really help you. I know for a lot of young people, y'all hear this stuff and y'all like, man, I'm tired of hearing all these things. There are two pains. And this is something I think Festus said once. He said there's the pain of, and it's related to something else, but I'm going to put it in this situation. There's the pain of forcing yourself to do that thing that's a little bit tough now, or there's the pain that's associated if you don't do that thing, and it's going to cost you years off your life. So ask yourself, do I want to just take the time to do this now to save myself so much more pain down the line, or am I going to, like we said earlier when we went over the B section, am I going to be stuck in this environment where nothing really changes? Right? So here's some things in regards to SMART goals. Instead of saying I'll do better in math, say I will raise my math grade from a 75 to an 85 by the end of the semester by reviewing 20 minutes a day and going to tutoring once a week. All right? Last thing to know about implementation intentions, the if-then plans, right? So this is a goal researcher. He said, if you create plans like if it's 7 p.m. on a weekday, then you'll study for 30 minutes. Things like that significantly increase the chances that you'll get towards your goal. So they help you stay on track. They help you even get started with what you're doing. They help you navigate through distractions. For teens, this is huge. You got school, you got activities, you got social life, you got digital distractions. Those plans will help give your goals backup systems, right? And this is my favorite thing. I think you gotta be Captain Obvious, right? You have to look for things around you, whether that be in your community, whether that be in your school, your friends, church, etc., to help you start as you come up with these New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna give you a quick story. There's a podcast that I like to watch clips of called the 520 Club or the 520 Podcast. There's a former NBA player, his name is Jeff Teague, and he told this hilarious story when he was in high school playing basketball. And when he was younger, his life was basketball. All he wanted to do was play basketball. And so he went to this church because they said they were playing basketball. And before they went, they said, you want to, while he was playing basketball, they asked him, do you want to give your life to Christ? And they were like, oh, sure. And he, I don't think he really had much of a background in church. So they started praying for him and they made him, say the prayer to give his life to Christ. And he was like, as soon as they were done, they were like, so we gonna play? And so they played. And I know it seems weird or funny, but I say that to say, even in those situations when you're just going and following your purpose, you don't know where those avenues will take you, right? And so I'm not doing it much justice. Jeff Teague is much funnier than me, but either way, I thought it was kind of pertinent to what we're talking about. So as we go into the no portion, I got some questions for the squad. First question is, how could those if-then plans, right? How I said if it's 7 p.m. on the weekend, you're gonna, do 20 push-ups or, whatever that plan is for you. How could those if-then plans help a student juggle through school, sports, a job, and social life more realistically? And it's not just the if-then plan. It's right.
Mark, you want to take a stab at that one first?
Can you reframe that question for me? Like I see the question, but can you put it in context so I can know how to answer it?
Sure. So let me
basically when you're saying if then, what you're referring to.
So earlier when I was going over the no portion, I gave an example where it's called implementation intentions. So an example would be if it's 7 p.m. on weekdays, then I'll study for 30 minutes, right? So you're creating that plan for yourself where you're saying if it's a certain time, you're going to do this action, right? And so what I would say to that is, I think those are huge for students. I think students, especially young people, need that opportunity to kind of have that check or that discipline in order, right? So, you know, most students, when I use myself as an example. When it was 5:30 in the morning, I knew I'd be up, right? Because either my mom would come in and pour water on me or my dad would wake me up. So I would say something like, if it's 5:35, I'm going to do 10 push-ups, right? That is something that, you know, I'm actively doing to help out with my health, to help me as I go on in my journey, right? And so I think it helps from a health standpoint. I think it helps from an academic standpoint. You know, I wouldn't say a certain time. You can even say, if I'm back home from school, I'm going to study this for, you know, I'm going to study science or whatever class you're struggling with for 15, 20 minutes, right? That was my way of trying to answer
Yeah,
that question.
yeah. I got you. So how could those plans help a student juggle the different things they got going on in life, basically, right? I think depending on whatever their goals or resolutions are, and if they use the SMART goal process, basically what you described will fall into the measurable steps that they would take to achieve those goals with the if-then plan.
Hey, LYS fam. It's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show, because you know it's some good topics.
And so if that's embedded into the measurable steps they're going to take with whatever the different resolutions that they have, the example you gave, hey, if I'm up at 5:30 in the morning and I'm going to do 10 push-ups, right? That's a measurable step that they can use on our SMART goal to be like, hey, at least 3 days a week when I'm going to make an effort to be up at 5:30, and at 5:30 I'm going to do 10 push-ups, and that's going to help me towards my fitness journey or whatever that is. The way that helps them juggle everything they have, school, sports, and job and social life, is that it's something that is realistic. Again, as part of the SMART goal thing, it's realistic. It's not, I'm expected to do this 7 days a week, because that might not be realistic. I might be more tired on some days than other days due to maybe how hard football or basketball practice was, track practice, whatever sport may be, compared to, oh, I had a late church service. We had Bible study. Bible study ran a little late and I still had to come home and do homework. So it gives a leeway for things like that. So I think that using the SMART goal system that you just talked about, Olay, and where that helps is the measurable steps in the SMART goal system. These are the different steps that I want to do to accomplish the different resolutions that I want to achieve. So make sure they are realistic so that they can be achievable. And that will kind of help with navigating your actual life of what you got on if you're a student and you're active in different parts of your life, such as socially active, academically active, you go to church and attend religion and family functions and things of that nature.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, I think that part of setting goals that are if then, it's more of really giving yourself cues, I would say. So 5 o'clock is more of a cue than a hard line. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, as Crawford was saying, if you set hard lines and something happens where, you know, the bus didn't make it on time, you missed the bus, this was late, that was like something else, then it could rock you, versus you just saying, hey, look, I'm going to cue myself that this is part of my process to achieving whatever it is I want to achieve. So whether it's like, hey, on Mondays, I'm gonna run a mile. Well, you know, you could do that Monday morning, Monday evening. You know what I mean? But the more specific that you get, the more crystallized those goals could get in your mind, and then the more likely you are to achieve it. So that's the balancing act of like giving the if then as a cue versus as a hard fast rule.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for that. Thank y'all both so much for that. I think that's a huge thing, especially for a lot of young people. They can be too hard on themselves, right? It's like life is gonna life, right? Things are gonna happen, things are gonna get in the way. But having that note in your mind, that mental note that it's 5 or whatever time you've set for yourself, even though you're running errands or you're, you know, like Crawford said, you're at church, you got Bible study, you got youth group or whatever, you know that at some point I got to make time to do this, right? And I think that's the key right there. I love that, man. Thank y'all so much for that. Let's get into the last section here. That's the do. That's how we execute with excellence. So we're going to talk about a goal setting system that teens can actually use, right? So we're going to lay out a system that teens can use to turn their new year hype into daily habits. Step 1, choose 1 to 3 focus areas, right? Most goals, they cluster around health and fitness, school and the grades, money and work, relationships and mental health. Pick 1 to 3 of those areas. You don't need too many goals. That's how you get burnt out. Just pick 1 to 3. Keep it real simple. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, right? Step 2, turn each resolution into a SMART goal, right? So here are some examples of SMART goals for teens. Let's say you got a SMART goal for school. You want to raise your science grade from a C to a B by the end of the semester by completing every homework assignment and attending tutoring twice a week. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely, right? Let's say you got one for health. I will walk or exercise for at least 20 minutes, 4 days a week until March 31st. All right, let's say you got one for money. I will save $25 a month from my paycheck from January to June to buy a laptop. And those SMART goals are going to help you break down those dreams into manageable steps, right? Step 3, now you can add that if-then plan, right? If it's right after dinner on Monday or Thursday, then you're going to study science for 30 minutes, right, for that academic goal. If you get paid on Friday, then you're going to move $25 into that savings account that same day for that money goal, right? Step 4, check-ins and compassion, right? Review your goals regularly. Make small adjustments. Practice self-compassion instead of quitting if you slip. That's the biggest thing that hurts people when they have these resolutions. I ain't got it. I'm out of there. Don't do that to yourself. Give yourself space to be human and make mistakes. It's okay, right? You don't need a perfect streak. You need consistent returns after you fall off. Step 5, find a goal buddy or a support system. This is huge. Surveys show many people are more successful when they share their goals or have a resolution buddy for accountability. Now, I know this is kind of iffy because I know some people are like, never let people know your goals or kind of thing, but I'm a firm believer that if you have like-minded friends, people, if you follow the be, no, do, and you know you have people in your life or people of good character that you can trust, you know, that they'll hold you accountable but won't make you feel like crap when you don't get there, those are people to keep around, right? So for teens, that could be a friend, a parent or a guardian, a coach or a mentor, a teacher or a counselor, right? Those are some things to keep in mind. So those are some steps to help you as you execute with excellence, right? So I'm gonna finish up with these last 2 questions for the squad. If a teen listening could only follow one of those do steps that I just gave you guys, which one of them do you think would help them the most and why? And I'm gonna go through those one more time just to make sure we got them all, okay? So step 1, choose 1 to 3 focus areas, right? Step 2, turn those focus areas into a SMART goal. Step 3, add an if-then plan. Step 4, building check-ins and compassion. And step 5, find a goal buddy or a support system. So which of those 5 steps do y'all think, squad, Which of those 5, if you can only do one of those do steps, which one do you think would help the most and why?
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. If there's one thing I love, it's something free. I'm talking free 99, un gratis. No shipping or handling fees, no gotcha fees, nothing like that. With that being said, if you're graduating soon or thinking about college or need a nudge or help to decide, then our free ebook, 10 Things to Think About Before Going to College, has a very balanced and open-minded way of presenting your next steps. It captures broad topics in a personal way by giving students an insightful, interactive, and reflective source of inspiration. It is very beneficial to be able to visualize some of the concepts after high school and apply them directly to you. We all know life, college, and career planning decision-making choices for students can be challenging, especially as they near the completion of high school. This book will provide you with a self-paced guide to your success beyond academics and into real life. Not only is it free, you can complete this book within a week. This will definitely prepare you for long-term success. To get your free copy, simply go to lys.com/students. I mentioned it was free, right? Well, if I didn't, it's free. Like for real, for real. Okay, back to the podcast.
So man, those are all awesome, especially as we talked about them, and I love the way you kind of reiterated them. I would say for me, for this time period or that time period in my life, if I was to rewind, step 5, finding a goal buddy or support system. And so, and I'll kind of lay this out. For me, even though after high school, I went in the military, started HCC, and was doing those different types of things, one of the most pivotal turning points in my life was when basically myself and 2 other friends, or really it was technically 3 other friends, all committed towards a course of action. And so one of the friends said they wanted to go to dentist school. Another friend said they wanted to be an accountant. Another friend said that, man, I totally forgot what school he was going to go to. And then I said, hey, man, I'm going to go to this therapy school. And just that interaction of the 4 of us kind of challenging each other and saying, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That interaction helped set the trajectory for us to go do those things. And the crazy part was 3 out of 4 hit the goals, except for one of the guys who unfortunately passed away early. But it was so significant, especially being at each other's graduations or being at, once the person accomplished that goal, it was just huge to be able to sit down and see that and experience that and say like, hey man, you remember when you said, and now you did, that was like transformative, and so like you said, you got to find those trusted individuals though, like minds, like spirits, and go from there.
All right, I feel you, Festus, on that one. I'm gonna have to go with something different though, but I feel you. I'm gonna go with creating the SMART goal. I'm gonna go with creating a SMART goal because from just my personal experience, having a plan and knowing what to do in that organization will help me accomplish what I need to accomplish. Because if I write that SMART goal, or if teams write that SMART goal and not just write it down somewhere where they can't access it, I mean, write that SMART goal down and have it everywhere where you're constantly seeing it in the restroom, on the mirror, in the corner of the mirror when you brush your teeth, in your room, on your phone, backdrop on your phone screen, or whatever. Having that go everywhere where you're constantly looking at it to see what you're working towards and what you're trying to achieve. And with Festus, I was thinking about SMART goal, setting a SMART goal in between having that support as well. I was going back and forth with that, but then I had to realize my personal experience. One challenge that some students may face is finding those like-minded individuals, especially in the low SES environments where they don't have to be like-minded in the sense of the things that they want to do, but driven and really wanting to make differences. So I didn't really have that. Like, I was one of the only ones out of my friend group as a team that had an idea of what they wanted to do and go after it. Meanwhile, everybody else around me became products of their environment, things of that nature. And so I was basically like a unicorn. And so for me, it was knowing what I wanted to do and keep being resilient for it. So SMART goal would definitely help me.
Love it, man. Definitely, and that's as you said that, Crawford. I was thinking, I was like, man, that's the beauty of this. For different people, those different things are going to be profound. But I do think that the two that y'all mentioned are probably the two most important. I think it's important to even know where you're going to go using those SMART goals, but definitely having those trusted people around you. And when I think about my close friends from high school and the fact that we're still close till today, it tells me that even in those low SES areas, right, those people are there. Right? The question is, are you moving yourself to be that person, right? To be that person of value, to be that person who is aware of themselves, who is growing in their character, who has values, who has principles, who's willing to do those things. Because it's not easy, right? We talked about peer pressure. We mentioned it earlier. A lot of folks, they get just stuck in that mindset of mediocrity, right? And it takes a lot for you to, when that's all you know, to jump out and go and to do something different. So I know it's definitely a lot of grace, a lot of grace that allowed us to get to where we are. And that's the key. And that's why we're here for these young people. It's like I said earlier, there's two prices you're going to pay. There's the price you can pay now of working hard and getting out of it, or there's the long-term price you can pay with years and years if you don't make those right decisions, or, those right moves right now. So, but real quick, I got one more question for y'all before we drop out of here. What's a realistic time frame for teens to review and adjust those goals that we talked about, right? Should they adjust those goals weekly? Should they adjust them monthly? Should they adjust them at the end of each grading period? What would y'all say is a good time for them to go back and reflect and see, man, am I doing what I need to do to keep up with these goals?
Man, great question, Olay. And I love what the research said, that most people who do resolutions end by April. The reason why they end by April is because it's January, February, March. Next month is April. So 90 days is actually the key to create habits. So a lot of times we don't accomplish our goals because they're not really habitual. And so the thing is, you want to try to target at least a 30-day check-in. Hey, am I on my way? And then up to 90 days. Because if you could hit that 90-day, that's when you can make it a habit and make it transformative to your life and create consistency.
And to piggyback on what Festus said, I think it varies because when the teens or anybody are creating their goals, they need to take their overall goal, and turn it into micro goals, right? What are the small achievable goals that adds to the overall goal that I want to achieve? And if I break down that goal into smaller achievable goals that take less time to complete, that right there count as the check-ins. Now, depending on whatever their goal is, that's different. So if I come up with example, let's say fitness, let's say my overall goal is to lose 20 pounds by the end of 6 months, right? Now, instead of, if I said 20 pounds, instead of looking holistically at the goal, I now need to break that into micro goals. Here go, micro goals. Okay, let me increase my protein intake weekly, or let me increase my water intake. And that could lead to me trying to lose at least 2 pounds within, at least 2 to 5 pounds within the first 4 weeks. Now I have a micro goal, and that's going to have me have that check-in within 4 weeks. And now I have to hit the goal of increasing my water intake. I'm checking off daily, increasing my protein that I'm checking out. And so it's like little micro goals like that contribute to the overall goal. And that could apply to academics, that could apply to just anything, any spiritual type of things that you want to improve and things of that nature. So that applies everywhere. So take your macro goal and break it down into many achievable goals that will help you on the process.
Love it. Love it, man. I love that, man. It's almost like self-accountability what you're talking about there, Crawford, which I love, man. It's like, all right, you got your goal. All right. Now break down and explain to me how you plan on getting to that goal. So now that actually gives you actionable steps to get towards that. So wonderful, man. Man, thank you so much, Dr. Crawford. Thank you so much, Festus, for your wonderful insights. Thank you to the wonderful students who come in and join in and listen. I don't care if you're listening for a minute, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. I would love for you to listen to the whole thing, but I know your attention span is a little bit different, so it's all love, man. We're working on some things for next year to get y'all the best info, the best tools, so you can be no do and you can ladder that success, right? So just thank you so much for hanging with us. So remember, if you're a teen thinking about New Year's resolutions, remember, be honest, compassionate, and growth-minded. Know what works, specific goals, self-belief, and those if-then plans. And of course, do the small daily actions that line up with your future self. You don't need 10 resolutions. You need a clear why, a good plan, and permission to be human while you grow. All right, I got some steps for y'all. I want you to write one SMART goal for this month, not the whole year. And I want you to add one if-then plan to support it. And then I want you to share it with someone that you trust, okay? Let's see where we go as we end the year 2025. Thanks so much again. Remember, to all of our listeners, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. If you think what we're talking about even sucks, fine. Put it in a comment. Let us know so we can put out stuff that you want to hear so we can help you. And we can know what we need to do. All right. So for Dr. Jamarc Crawford, my name is Olay Sharanki. Festus Amoye, thank you so much for listening to this latest episode of Edu of Steps. Festus, my good sir, go ahead and hit him with the phrase that pays, man.
So listen, there are legit excuses for not going to college. There's no legit excuse for not getting an education. Thanks so much for watching this episode. If you know somebody who needs to hear this, hit that share button, direct it directly to them. If you like what you heard, go ahead and smash the like button. And if you think, man, these guys are on fire, I want to hear them the next time they come out, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so we will see you on the next episode.